Hi everybody, welcome to the garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. The Court of Public Opinion is in session for the next little while. The Beta Birdwood was run and won. I don't think they actually win, do they? It's not a race.
No, it's not a race.
That's a display. Thank you, Gary. It's a display.
Celebrates the issuing of the first driving licence in South Australia.
Is that what it is?
Indeed, that's what it's all about.
Well, it's a wonderful, wonderful celebration. Terrific. Speaking of cars, the Mitsubishi Magna turns 40 today. Brigitte Bardot, 91.
She drove a Mitsubishi.
I don't believe Brigitte Bardot is 91. Suddenly I feel really old. Brigitte Bardot couldn't be 91. 91, Brigitte Bardot? Not possible.
She's still alive.
Oh, she's lovely. She is. Albo's date with the Donald early today. For the sake of the nation, I hope it went well. Trade and defence, vital areas of mutual interest, concern and benefit. There is an awful lot we can and should agree on with the United States. Let's hope it's been done. We're posting at 9 o'clock. They met somewhere like 2 o'clock this morning. We'll see, no doubt, by tonight what came out of it. The federal government seems to be determined to limit, or at least restrict, control, access to freedom of information. They've just about got this through, ladies and gentlemen. We should be concerned. The media should be concerned. The media should be all over this. Collectively, every media outlet and person should unite to hammer the government over what is arrogant, determined self-interest. We don't like being embarrassed. Well, who the hell does? The government is doing this, restricting freedom of information, and in doing so, showing us that they have a glass jaw. But most importantly, they've got something to hide. Probably a lot more than one thing, I might tell you. We should do what the American media has done over the White House restrictions placed on Pentagon journalists. This is where all of their stories have to be approved by the administration. They simply withdrew all their people. Everyone, all media, every network, and they said, if we can't have access and freedom to report as we see fit, we will not report at all. Now that's exactly what we should be doing here. We did something similar to that back in 2019, when you might remember it, the Australian newspapers, the biggest Australian newspapers, the major ones in every capital city, simply, they had a front page, but they went over and blacked out every sentence, every word, in protest against government press restrictions. Done it once, can do it again. King Charles meets with the people from Uluru, or as I prefer to call it, Ayers Rock. There were 10 or 12 people who travelled all the way to the UK. Firstly, I must say, why? What is the point? It was 40 years, not 50 or 100, nothing significant about 40. Did they travel at their expense or ours? Where did they get the money? It would have been very expensive. Was it first or business class? Well, silly me, why would I even ask? And again, why? 40 years ago, the left-wing government, the Hawke Labor government, as I remember, gave to the Aboriginals what belonged to all of us anyway, black and white. Before this racist political manoeuvre, and that's what it was, we could all enjoy Ayers Rock. Now there are all kinds of restrictions based on nothing more than race. And make no mistake, this is happening all over Australia. Because of racist Labor policy, I, for one, resent it. One nation, one people. one focus, one equality. There really should be no other way. And if they come up with another way, they should be forced to justify it. Did you see that story about the China Airlines flight where the lithium-ion battery caught fire in the overhead luggage compartment? Whoa! And you see, these days, even in China, there are people with smartphones who record all this stuff. You can't put these fires out. Do you have one of these batteries under your roof? Do you want one of these batteries under your roof? I certainly don't.
There is one under the car seat. We should tell Maria.
Under the car seat. Oh, yes. Maria, I'm sorry. be careful of that electric vehicle of yours.
Hot pants.
Not quite as old as Brigitte Bardot, but the Liberal Party turned 81 years old this week. I'm not sure of exactly what day it was, but it was this week. Menzies left the United Australia Party to form the Liberals back in 1944. I don't know the backstory to this as to just exactly what went wrong with the United Australia Party, but it kind of sank without a trace. I guess it just wasn't too united. And as we all know, disunity is death when it comes to politics. The one thing that is very good to have in politics is cut through. And particularly if you're in opposition. Which brings me to Barnaby Joyce, the best retail politician in the country. With all his faults, I don't care. I think he's a very, very clever man. How silly was the National Party to relegate, humiliate this man, stick him in a corner and tell him to shut up, and to imagine that he would go along with that. He has understandably announced that he will not contest the seat of New England for the Nats at the next election. He has not said that he will leave the party altogether, but that has to be on the cards. Why would you stay with people who are thinking in a vastly different direction? Whether he leaves the party, I think I would bet the farm on it, frankly. I understand. I was going to tell you something there. No, let me just say, I believe Barnaby and Pauline Hanson have been in discussion for ages. A natural fit and one that would work very well. Not so clear is what the fallout might be. I suspect a chain reaction, with ripples going far and wide. While the Liberals are arguing over just who they are and who they should be trying to attract, One Nation is growing its conservative base day by day. And talking about One Nation, Pauline Hanson has said, and I agree with this, now that the war is over, well, fingers crossed, it's over. The 3,500 Palestinians or Gazans who were given temporary protection visas here in Australia should be sent home to partake in the reconstruction of Gaza. Perfectly right. And speaking of politics, you would have to say, to be perfectly even-handed and fair, that as far as politicians go, the Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, is currently the poster boy. He has immaculate timing, judgment, sensitivity. I think it was the Marx Brothers who said, if you can fake all of those things that make you an absolutely genuine person, you've got it made. I'm not saying he's faking anything. He just could be incredibly gifted. He reads the room very well. For example, his presence and concern for the little boy lost, Josh, out in the outback of South Australia. And without being cynical, it was exactly how a premier should behave. Not a politician, a premier. He is the premier from Central Casting. The Liberals need a Peter Malinauskas. He's a once-in-a-generation kind of politician. And people can't teach you that. You can't go to school and learn how to do that. It's an innate gift, I think. There's one exception, and I have to point this out in fairness. When defending, promoting the South Australian fishing industry from the algal bloom, he got actors and local personalities to reassure people that it was safe to go on buying the local product, eating it, enjoying it. Now, Don Dunstan went down to Glenelg to not hold back the algal bloom, but a tidal wave. Personally, he stood there and he said, "Take me first." A lot of people thought he could walk on water after that day. They were sure he could. Peter's advisors, Peter Malinauskas' advisors, would have said, no, you can't. You can't do that. You can't say the fish is safe to eat, because what happens if it isn't? Well, I would say ignore the advice. Do a Dunstan. Have courage, Mr. Premier. That's the subtle difference between great and greatness. Politics is about theatre. It really is. The advisors come and go, but the audience doesn't. From my point of view, and this is a selfish thing to say, I suppose, but I think Malinauskas is wasted in the Labour Party. But that's just me. That's just me. Have you had a flu needle? Well, the reason I ask is that 410,000 cases have been reported so far this year. 410,000, that is considerably, significantly up on last year. I don't know where you stand on vaccination. It's a funny sort of divisive topic when you start talking to people about it. Talk to your doctor. The food police are at it again. They say that the big supermarkets put junk food on special twice as often as the healthy alternatives. I don't know if that's true. Is that true? 0491 65 68 60. Friday morning, if you've noticed that, jeremycordeaux.com, live streaming. I'd love to talk to you about that, or anything else that happens to be on your mind in the court of public opinion. We're here with the best wishes of the rising sun in at 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. Grant and Jackie are your host and hostess, and their telephone number is 8333-0721. The Rising Sun Inn. I cannot think exactly how many times they've been chosen as the best inn or pub in South Australia, but it's quite often. I mean, they've got all these really nice award-type pictures, certificates on their wall. And the walls are always interesting. Grant goes out and gets various artists. They're not necessarily well-known artists, but they're looking to obviously have their art prominently shown. And he does that for them around the walls of the Rising Sun. Built back in 1845. Lots of character and atmosphere. And speaking of art, Elder Fine Art Gallery in Melbourne Street, North Adelaide, with one last big auction coming up before the end of the year. If you've got a painting that you'd like to sell, all you've got to do is to ring 8267-2869, 8267-2869, that's right. They're inviting you to submit notable paintings, and if you have any doubt about the value, he's quite happy to give you an absolutely free appraisal. Friday, I've given you the number, 0491 65 68 60, jeremycordeaux.com, or you can get the app. The app is Simple Radio, and you can have that in the palm of your hand. And what do? We press subscribe.
Yep.
and
Subscribe button.
subscribe, and you get notification that we're on the air, as we are at the moment. I'm out of time, but one thing we will talk about, probably Friday, an amazing statement I came across. Women are entitled to be seen. Women are entitled to be seen? Well, a new law in Portugal to fix what they see in Portugal as a significant human rights violation, because more and more immigrants are requiring women to be covered head to toe. Believe it or not. Gee, I can't imagine why a woman would allow herself to be so relegated, subjugated. I can't.
Fear.
Fear?
Simply fear.
Well, it's going to be illegal to do it in Portugal. Talk on Friday about that. Can I tell you about a few birthdays? Yeah, I mentioned it is the 21st. Yeah, I mentioned to you that back in 2019, Australia's biggest newspapers blanked out their front pages because they were protesting to the government about press restrictions. You see, I'll bet that got their attention. Yes, this day, this very day, October 21, 1964, the film version of My Fair Lady starring Rex Harrison, Sexy Rexy and Audrey Hepburn premieres in New York. Academy Awards Best Picture for 65. 1956 on this day, Carrie Fisher, American actress, Princess Leia. Was it Princess Leia or Princess Leia? Leia. I knew somebody who had a chicken and called it Princess Leia. It's a great name for it. Chicken. When Harry Met Sally. I don't remember her being in Harry Met Sally, but anyway. Postcards from the Edge, born Burbank, California. Her mum was Debbie Reynolds, her dad was Eddie Fisher, and she died 2016, born 1956. The Battle of Trafalgar, British Admiral Horatio Nelson and war hero defeats the combined French and Spanish fleet. Nelson is shot and killed during the battle. He was only 47. 1805 was the year. Wow. Gough Whitlam, Australian politician, Prime Minister from 72 to 75, died on this day at the age of 98. That's a long life. 98. 2014 was the year. Roman Emperor Constantine the Great rules that Jews can no longer be allowed to purchase and circumcise Christian slaves. I wonder why he would want to anyway. Anyway, that was in 335. Australian civilian pilot Frederick Valentek vanishes in a Cessna 182. I remember that. Over Bass Strait, south of Melbourne, after reporting contact with an unidentified aircraft. That was in 1978. Never found. Ben Bradley, American editor, journalist, newspaper executive, Washington Post, dies at the age of 93 on this day in 2014. Florence Nightingale, with a staff of 38 nurses, is sent to the Crimean War on this day in 1854. And Alfred Nobel, Swedish chemist who invented dynamite, founded the Nobel Prize, born Stockholm, died 1896, born this day in 1833. And just one more, Alec Baldwin, shoots cinematographer, dead. This day in 2021. Yeah, dear, oh dear, oh dear. I think the wash-up of that is that he got off. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion from the garage. We'll see you on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock with a new posting. Believe in yourself. And from all of us, goodbye for now.